down for 15 seconds and oh. All right, all right. Welcome to this evening's AI Mastery Lab series show. We're doing a little bit a different format today. Usually, these um, these series are actually behind a private room in typically a Zoom meeting. But today, the AI Mastery Lab series is going live because we'll be sharing a few things that we think you would know or want to know. And I'm going to introduce a few people here today. Krishen Kota is the person we're going to ask a bunch of questions. We'll get into that here. He's a business process automation guru and AI trainer. Like many business owners and enthusiasts, he's really been diving deep into AI. We got Logan McCoy, who's the real deal, the real McCoy. And he's deep into AI too, but he's trying to be a little bit low key, but we're going to see if we can shake a few things out of him. All right. And see if he's just really at least knows something, he claims he does, but
we'll see.
We'll see. Yeah. So, but before we get started today, because let's tell what we're going to talk about today, because we did put a description out there, and Krishen is doing a workshop tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern time, and it's a small business AI Cowork, Claude Cowork tool that he's using. And so there's some of you that are using Claude Cowork or just Claude, and you have a paid subscription. You're not doing much with that $20 a month. And he actually is going to cover 3 areas. And the first one was, and I'm just going off the top of my head, is process, procedures, and checklist. The second one, he's going to create a brand skill for you, or actually you're going to do it. It's a live workshop where you're going to go to work and you're going to create these things for yourself. And the third thing, I forgot what was the third thing, Krishen. What is the third thing?
The third thing is we're going to set up a recurring automation. So as you're documenting processes, you can just drop certain files in an inbox and then have that process create all the documentation for you.
All right. So there you have it, folks. And we're a few minutes before the top of the hour, but I want to start this before we dive into Krishen workshop that he's having tomorrow. I want to talk a little bit about what's going out there when it comes to AI in today's, just in the marketplace, from a business standpoint. Many of you probably have seen the announcement that Anthropic and OpenAI, Anthropic has Claude as one of their products, and OpenAI has ChatGPT as one of their products. Okay, and I'm sure there's other big LLM models or companies behind those models that have deployed their employees to their enterprise clients. And then they've made this statement that to help them set up their business process and so they can use it more, use the AI within the business. Usually these enterprise accounts have a very private sandbox that their LLMs work with at the enterprise level. And so this is a very expensive engagement or very investment heavy when you do that and you go in and you're talking about workflows. And boy, I'm going to bring back an old term, business process re-engineering. Do we even use that term anymore? Do you remember that, Krishen?
I remember that. Yeah, I haven't heard that in a long time.
BPR. Yeah. Business process re-engineering. I got a couple books on that that's probably over 20 years old on my shelf. I'm just a nerd like that. But I wanted to just talk about and I'll put this out there to you too. What are you seeing out there? Because we have Anthropic, OpenAI, and maybe even Google and some other people addressing the enterprise market. But that's created that SMB or small, medium business, and even maybe even smaller businesses that, and this is what your workshop's addressing, they'd love to get into it, but they're like even don't know where to start. And let's talk about that market as three people that are in deep in AI. What are some opportunities that you see? Let's start with that question. And I'm going to start with you, Logan. For like, if you're looking at the marketplace, the big, heavy, Anthropic, OpenAI, their people are in their top enterprise. What about the rest of us? What opportunities are you seeing out there, or do you feel exist? We'll go with you, Logan. Then we're going to circle back to Krishen. What do you say, Logan?
Yeah, there's definitely some opportunity right now for adaption. That's a slow process. I mean, if you look back at the internet boom back in 2000, I mean, it took some people very long time, even corporations a very long time to get on board with the internet, and some failed to do that. So there's definitely a need for adaption, and the real thing is learning AI has so many different levels and tiers to it. So learning to scale that and not just go full into it, because if you don't learn the basics, it's like with anything. If you don't learn the basics, you won't understand the complex parts of AI and stuff like that. The model can tell you what you're doing, but you're really not going to thoroughly understand it. And the goal to any good output is understanding what you're actually doing when you're creating that output. So that's kind of where I see things, is the adaption and education angle is getting people onboarded with the idea that AI is not going to be able to just take over for you and, handle everything for you. Like, you're going to have some deep level of understanding of what actually goes on and what is an LLM, like what actually does an LLM do, so you can use it effectively.
So I'm going to stay with you here for a second, Logan. So yeah, we eventually need to know all the ins and outs of the tool we're using, but how can somebody who, I mean, it is, with the big companies, being handled by Anthropic, Google, OpenAI, and then we have this other market. Would you say that what do you say about maybe they have a domain expertise on a certain domain? Is that any value to the market out there? Like, they may not know the tool well, but they know their stuff. They know their domain of expertise. How does that play in value in an AI driven world?
Yeah, I mean, if you're saying like Anthropic and OpenAI know their product better than anybody else, true, but AI is also evolving so fast that, most of what we're getting and gets released, it's a race to technology. So what you're getting and what developers are seeing when they're using AI and stuff like that is pretty close to, what they're releasing. It's not much different. So, just studying it and learning it can take you a very long way, as far as adaption goes. And because there's no like secret, like hidden barrier, like it's not like, we're getting, just a fraction of what they're really actually have. And the technology that they have is just so much better. Every company is actively releasing as fast as possible so they could stay on top. I mean, that's what Anthropic did so well, is they stayed on top. They got ahead fast, and they realized that's what they had to do. So does that kind of answer your question, Bez? I mean,
yeah, sort of in a way. I think you're being a little bit guarded, but I'll loosen you up in a second here. You're talking in codes. Remember, we're talking to the small business owner. Okay. So that's when I say code, I'm just, giving you a hard time, but
Yeah.
A small business owner may get a little overwhelmed with how you framed it. So I'm gonna go to Krishen. Maybe he's a little ready to go. But yeah, I love your answer. I think where I'm trying to get at is what the advantage of most business owners have in their domain of expertise, that we're still like the AI still has to be commanded, right? You've got to tell it what to do. And the better you are at your domain, the better the output, because you command the AI. And I'll give you an example. A lot of us are not marketers per se, and yet we turn to AI and says, "Give me a social media plan." Now, somebody who is a domain expert in social media, they're going to talk to the AI a little bit different, command it different. They're going to get better output. So that's where I'm going at with that, because I think there is a lot of hope and a lot of opportunity if you come from a position of strength, if you know your business and you know a certain thing in your business very well. I mean, it could be operations, it could be HR, it could be finance, it could be a lot of functional areas, but and even more specialized than that. So, but we'll come back to you. I hope that gives a little bit more juice to loosen up, and let's bring it down to the normal people. So Krishen, tell me, as you look at the marketplace, people like me, you, and Logan, and we've got the Anthropic, the OpenAI addressing the top of the market. What are some opportunities for people like me, you, and Logan, who know a little bit about AI?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of small business owners that, like you were saying, they know their business. They know the ins and outs of their business. They know their customers. They know just they know all the details, and that's an important thing, regardless of when you're talking about technology. You can't take somebody that really just knows technology and have them apply things to a business if you don't have somebody that knows that business, whether that be the business owner or somebody in your company that really understands that. So I think that I'm going to take it a slightly different place, but I'll get back around to where you're coming from. Is I kind of think the large companies, they're trying to utilize AI. They're laying people off. They're bringing in buying technology. Kind of last year was, hey, we want adoption. We want our people using. We want our people, utilizing the tools we purchased, and so they would do things like have contests for who's burning the most tokens or who's having the most usage of particular tools. And they've kind of found out over the year that that really doesn't have a lot of payback if you're just measuring how much usage there is. So they're still trying to figure out how to best get the return on investment out of AI. And so to me, the opportunity is you can be, as a small business owner, a lot more focused because you know your business. You're not trying to conquer the world, or if you are, it's the subset of the world that is your world. And the tools are not. We're at the very beginning still, even though there's been a lot of things that have happened. They can't do certain things for you. You can't just talk to it and it transform your business. It's a great tool to work with you, but you've got to put the work in. But if you do, you're going to be ahead of other small business owners that are kind of waiting for it to be the easy button, which it's not currently at. But if you're somebody like Logan and others that are involved in the details of their business, you can find places where it can save time, where it can make things easier or make things, more reliable and consistent. But you have to know the limitations, like Logan was saying. But the opportunity is helping for some, helping small businesses implement things in a smart way, where you're not trying to oversell what can be done, because some business owners are on YouTube and they get excited about certain videos that are have all the clickbait headlines, but that's not really the reality. And even if you did get things working like that, usually all that stuff's so fragile, you can't depend on it. And then you have a new problem where things have break, the model has drifted, the results are not always consistent. And so it's much better to have a pick things that could be a high value that are a good fit. And that's where, working with people who have worked with this stuff for a while can help implement parts of this, in a small business, which really gives it a big advantage over, other small business owners where they're a little more leery, or they're kind of anti AI. So anyway, so I see the opportunity is while the big companies are figuring out stuff, there's an opportunity to strategically implement it at the small business level to really help small business owners. And technology is kind of like, it's a tool, but it's kind of like we're going to focus on tomorrow night. The big thing is really, a lot of business owners know I should document my processes so that I can bring in new people, I can easily train them, I can make sure my current staff are doing things the way I want them done. I can, so they know those kind of things they should be doing. But it's a big daunting task to think about documenting business processes in the traditional way. You think about, okay, you may think I need to get an afternoon together where everything's blocked out, and I sit down with PowerPoint or Word or a piece of paper and I start mapping out how this stuff should work. And I would assume everybody on this call or anybody listening, it's hard to carve out an afternoon with no interruptions. And so there's always things going on. If there's not fires, there's opportunities to explore. So it's just hard to sit down uninterrupted time, especially something that's not necessarily the funnest thing to do. And so the workshop tomorrow is really like how to take a lot of the pain out of that using, in this case, Claude Cowork. So that's my rambling.
I love.
Yes.
Oh no, that's good. That's good. Let me see if there's any comments in the. No, don't see any comments yet. But no, this is good. Oh my goodness, look who's showing up.
All right.
Oh, she's going. So while she's I don't know if she'll be able to join, but we'll give it a shot. I want to go to what I see the opportunities out there. Okay, for people like me, you and Logan. Okay. And everyone's at different stages. You're in a different stage. I'm in a different stage. Logan's in a different stage. Who's ahead or more, or I don't know. Okay. But it behooves us, if we're learning the tool, to learn it and apply it. And I actually apply it. Build some use cases in your domain of expertise. I'll give you an example. The other day I was trying to train someone like how to interview somebody. And I'm like, oh, this is simple. And they said, well, could you like sort of workflow it with me? I go, yeah. So I opened up a Google Doc. We shared it while we're online. And I sit there and I just, okay, first you do this. This is, the flow. And I map out a thing. And before you know it, an hour and a half later, it's like 3 pages.
Right.
And it's just an interview. Like I interview people different because I've done it for over 30 years, and in my business as a headhunter, I cannot rely on hope. Like in that initial conversation, I'm trying to figure out if I need to push you away, because in any opportunity, there's the good, bad, and the ugly. So I'm selling you the ugly too, because I want to know if you're going to fight for it, because there's a certain thing I need from you if we're going to go from A to Z and it's going to be a good fit. I need to know that you and I can, you're going to follow my advice and instructions to the T, because I ask my clients to do the same thing. So I can't have people messing around and freelancing. No. Okay. I'm controlling the controllables, but I have to talk about it, right? So anyways, I approach interviewing differently. And so I mapped that out. And in an hour and a half later, I'm like, oh my goodness. But I took it out of my head and put it on paper. And they were like, oh my goodness. And I'm like, oh, it just rolled off as it rolled off my lips, I typed it up. I probably should just let AI type it up for me as it rolled off my lips. See, I could have been better at it, right? But the opportunity is that when we know our stuff, our domain of expertise, what I'm seeing out there is, you've got the top tier, and you're talking about the top consulting companies too. There is now a middle tier of boutique consulting firms that will seek me, you, and Logan, and will have work from a time and material standpoint, and say, hey, we need someone to do this and that for our clients. What's your rate? Well, depending where you stand, but it would not be abnormal for me, you, or Logan and Krishen here to charge anywhere from 150, 250, $300 an hour, right? Those opportunities do exist, but that's because we know our domain, right? And if you don't think those things exist, I think I got a friend down here in the gallery that might be shed a light or two on that. In Zakia, can you talk?
I can. I'm sorry, I'm not on video tonight, but is it true that your birthday is today, Bez?
It is. It's my birthday.
Happy birthday.
Absolutely.
Happy birthday.
Well, thank you.
All right. Sorry, got off track.
I feel like
What was the question?
no. So we're here talking about opportunities in AI, and so Krishen has a workshop tomorrow. But I want to sort of warm up the audience and say, hey, what's the marketplace showing today? Anthropic made the decision, and OpenAI made announcements of, hey, we've got our top people in our enterprise accounts setting up our tools there and working with their business processes and helping helping them adopt the tool and work more with it. And then there's another term being used out there called enablement. So we're talking about what's in front of us as professionals in our own domains, right? You're a professional in your domain. Logan's a professional in his domain, and Krishen's also an expert in his domain. We have domains of expertise. You've actually run into some of these, and so what is the market out there for people like us?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And I've heard the term primarily workforce enablement. And that is, yes, all of these AI tools are here, but people are having a hard time embracing it. And it's what we're used to in corporate, right? People get used to doing things a certain way, and they're not so quick to jump on change. Like, I've got my way that I do it, and I'm just going to do it this way. And so a lot of companies are making huge investments in AI. And unfortunately, they're not able to see that return on investment because employees are kind of stuck in their ways, or they're not really understanding how to make that connection between the work that they love to do or the work they're doing, and then infusing AI into that. They're making it an add-on instead of part of the workflow. So people like us who have domain expertise because we've been using the tools and we've been implementing it in our workflow, we are well suited to go in and help different individuals realize how they can actually incorporate it and not make it feel like just another thing to do, but actually improve the workflow.
I love that. I love that. So give me an example. You were at one of your things is soap making. Okay. And you were at a lavender soap making conference. It's a specific conference for lavender soap makers. Like, how more specific can you get other than a star shape versus a circle, but tell me, walk us through that, what happened, because I think that's a real indication of what the where the market is at. It was a very specific story. So can you recount that story from beginning to end? Because this is actually going to play the importance of why what Krishen's workshop is all about is even more important. So walk us through that story.
Yeah, so it was for lavender growers and understanding the different products that they could make with the lavender. And so I was there to teach two workshops. One was on soap making because that's a natural product that you can make. But then I was also there for the technology. You don't necessarily think of farmers using technology, but they absolutely do. And my role was to orient them into how to leverage AI from start to finish. And so my soap making workshop went fine. That was regular. But then for the AI workshop that I hosted, the audience was full, but there was one gentleman there sitting with his wife. And when I tell you he peppered me with questions for the first 10 minutes, I was like, he's going to kill me this time. Like it was just nonstop. But this is where you have no idea who is sitting in the audience. Because at the end of the session, he came up to me and he said, you answered in 15 minutes what our chief AI officer has not been able to do in 9 months. If I could hire you today, I would. And there is a very specific marketplace in every industry. There's not one specific industry that is struggling with this across the board. They all see the need for AI, but they don't have those people that can translate it and make sense for people to see how it plays out. So that was a very interesting story because I'm thinking that I'm just teaching people that are going to go back to their farm and run some social media campaigns and fix their website. And he opened me up to a completely different world with government contracts, defense contracts, and all of that, just by showing up in my area of expertise for my audience.
Now, was he a husband of supporting his wife there? Is that am I correct
Yes.
on that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. It was their
And
weekend getaway. That was what they were doing for the weekend.
so walk me through, and you don't have to get specific, what happened, what was he willing to do for you? You know, if he says all this good stuff about me, what happened?
So what happened is he invited me to go through his LinkedIn contacts and if there was anybody that I was interested in working with to let him know, and he made at least 4 warm connections right now. He's also helped me in writing proposals because he understands what people are willing to pay for this kind of work. I was grossly underpricing what it is. And I think the access was the biggest piece, but I think for me, it was the validation of just the things I was tinkering with and naturally good at. He immediately saw the value in the application way beyond where I was working.
Okay, and what level was he at
Chief
from a
marketing officer. So he was in the C-suite.
okay.
And he also sits
And
on a board for a university who is currently trying to write AI curriculum for a master's program. So he wants me to come in and consult with that.
well, you're an instructional designer by trade, huh?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
okay.
before the soap. So before the soap, but it has stayed throughout my entire career, instructional design. If you look at any of my businesses, training is always at the core of what I'm offering. It's just expressed differently.
Okay. So we're gonna go back. So this is back to you, Logan, and um to see what are your thoughts, any questions for Zakia, Krishen, as we talk about the market. I mean, with the skills or knowledge that you have, what do you think the marketplace may what could what are your thoughts on what she said and maybe what you're seeing out there?
I mean, that's actually like really interesting. It's eye-opening. I wouldn't really know too much about the industry because, I kind of stay locked into what I do, um, and I what I've done and how I've used it over the last couple of years, I don't even know how that would compare in the industry or anything like that. Um, but it is interesting because it's you do have a bit of a gap between the people who are the early adopters of AI and the people who are adopters now, you know, um, because of the way that it's evolved over time. So, I found that the people that have been working with it for a little while now, there's definitely some advantages to that. But it's not too late to start learning because it's going to continue to evolve. As far as questions, I don't really have anything off the top of my mind right now to ask, but it's
Logan,
interesting. It's eye opening. Yeah.
Logan, can I ask how you have been using it?
Yeah, so I've been using it for a little while now. I recently had joined I joined a business with my dad. And he had kind of been doing everything what I would say is old school. And so I kind of took over on every administrative task of we're an investment management firm. So, anything from compliance stuff. So we have lots of compliance stuff that we have to manage, bookkeeping, um, anything from keeping up with clients, keeping up with dates, and just anything besides the actual portfolio management stuff. That stuff, I can now leave to him to fully stay into, and he doesn't have to handle any of these administrative stuff anymore. That really bogs you down unless you pay good money for somebody to just handle all that for you. That used to be the way it was, but now with AI, we're able to. I mean, the amount of time that I put into it now on a daily and weekly basis is very little compared to the startup cost of going through and helping automate these processes and stay organized.
So that you just described exactly what you said. I don't know how it would apply to the corporate. That's exactly how it applies. You look at a workflow and you automate it. So you don't necessarily have to be the expert in what they do, but you know what the AI is capable of. And you're the translator. You're like the business analyst of understanding what it is that they're
Right.
asking for and then matching that to the right tool. So
Yeah.
you have it. I don't want you to say I don't know. You absolutely do know how it applies. It absolutely does.
I think Logan has the skills to do it. He's just focused on his own business, which is smart. Not to spread yourself too thin.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just focused on what I'm doing now, but I'm happy to talk with other people. I talked with Krishen today, and kind of opened up my eyes that other people are actually doing this because I would have never known.
Yep.
Well, you hang out with people like us, man. Whew. You just never know what may be around the corner.
Right.
It's okay. It's okay. I mean, some of us have probably seen the ups and downs of tech over the years, and yeah, the internet. Like when you mentioned 2000, I remember, I was doing stuff like on the phone and fax, and then in 1995, our office got one email address. Yippee! Soon after that, I left. I mean, I got my own email address, and why do I need you, right? But those early days were really interesting. I could sit here and talk all day long about that, but we're here actually for the topic at hand. But I do want to just say that as you do what you do, Logan, when when I look at people, I'm a talent evaluator. It might not be baseball or football, but I look and I'm like, I check people out all the time. Like, I've checked out Krishen, I've checked out Zakia, I'm checking you out, Logan. And I'm like, all right. you might be on my bench and you don't even know it. And then when I get a client that wants to engage in something, I'm like, I got somebody for you. You know, might be a little something on the side. So just get ready. All right.
Okay. Whatever you want, coach.
You're on the
All
team.
right,
You didn't
so
even know it, Logan.
That's right.
That's right, Logan. Logan, like he was like, well, what did I get into? I was like, all right.
Yeah,
so,
I'm like, hang up.
Let's do this. It's like, what am I getting? Yeah, no, we're gonna keep you out of trouble, at least for now.
Oh, okay.
But wait, yeah. What we want to do is we're here to talk about so this is a warm up a little bit about the possibilities of what's going out there from a marketplace perspective. As a small business owner, you should have some awareness of where this is trending. So we're giving you sort of a different view of, what are people, big business doing. Zakia got exposed to something, just blew her mind of what people like her can charge. And there's even another story that some of you have heard that, that her and I went live once, and and a crazy opportunity got talk to her about, because people like Zakia, Logan, Krishen, myself are in demand, and we don't even know it. See, that's where I want to just at least sort of approach that, because that's one side of it. But now from the small business side, they may want to get onboarded and play with it themselves. So Krishen, talk about what you're going to do tomorrow night. And I'm going to put on the bottom here, like as you talk, there's going to be some things scrolling. There's a QR code there on the top. Actually, what I'll do, because who's going to type a clunky URL? The QR code is there. What I'm going to do is talk about your thing, and at the bottom, if people are interested, I got a discount code for them. So talk about your workshop tomorrow night.
It's really for small business owners that understand documenting business processes is one part of being able to scale, being able to effectively delegate, and being able to go on vacation with some peace of mind that your business is going to run the way you want it. And one of my previous businesses, I used to like to go on vacation, because every time I go on vacation, we get a new customer. So it was like, and part of that, part of that was having business processes set up same way. Part of it, I don't know, it was just karma that if I left, we would get more business. So, but that's really the person that would want to come tomorrow. We're going to do some cool techniques. It's going to be a fun thing. So if you can have fun with business processes, that's what we're going to do. So we're not going to, everybody's going to be working from wherever they're working from. So I was going to say we're not going to serve alcohol, but you may be serving yourself alcohol. It's going to be a party. If you want dancing, you can put some music on in the background, but it'll be a hands-on, fun, a lot of knowledge per minute that you're going to get. And I think the best thing is just getting around other business owners and other people that are interested in learning how to use some of this technology. You do have to have at least the pro version of Claude Cowork, which is like a $20 a month subscription. You'll need to download the desktop app. If you don't have it downloaded already, we're going to take a little time up front to make sure everybody's got things installed and configured so that it's with the right settings for the right safety level, all that kind of stuff. But the idea is come in with at least one business process you'd like to automate that you've been putting off, that if you did it, that would be a big step in getting other things, documented and streamlined and automated in your business. And we're going to go over some cool techniques that are very effective, that are reusable. But I think the main thing is it'll just open up your mind on what else is possible. But we're going to walk out with documented business processes, checklists, and documents showing where human judgment should come in your process. And anyway, that's it. I mean, if you want to, if that sounds like something of interest, we got a few spots left. It's going to be a relatively small group, and it's going to be hands-on. And my business partner Suzelle is going to be in this right there with us. So where anybody gets stuck, there's going to be people there to get you unstuck. And the other thing is just, like I said, meeting other small business owners and having a relationship, having people you can talk to and ask questions of after the workshop's over. So that's it.
So, so you did talk about, okay, the first thing, because you told me there's 3 things you're going to cover. And so you talked about section number 1, which is process, procedures, and checklist. Now that you did also say the second thing was going to be a brand skill. So tell me about that. What does, how can a small business, like, what do you mean brand skill?
Yeah. So most businesses have a certain logo. They may have certain colors that represent their brand, the visual identity of their brand. They may have certain fonts and basically rules of when they have things in print, like how they should look. And so we're going to take those rules. We're going to each person's going to be able to develop a skill that's basically a reusable bit of code behind the scenes, so to speak, that will be able to then take your documentation of your business process, be able to automatically apply, put your logo, the right font, the right spacing, the right visual look, so that your documentation is going to look professional. It's going to look on brand, and it's something you can use for other documents also going forward. So that's another thing they're going to walk away with, is that, and we're going to walk through how to do that during the workshop. And then the third thing is we're going to set up some automations so that we're going to do it with the concept of business processes, where we're going to set up a folder structure, an inbox, so that if you get on a roll and you documented one, let's say in a workshop, and you want to go and document, let's say there's 3 or 4 or 5 others that are like the most important ones in your business. And I'm of the belief you shouldn't try to document everything to the nth degree, because it's just a setup for frustration. And we're going to start with the 80-20 rule. What's the 20% that gives you 80% of the value? But let's say you walk away after the workshop and say, okay, I want to get the other 4 or 5 major processes documented. You'll have a process to do that, but you also have an automation, so you can then take we're going to do a recording and a transcript, so you can drop the transcript of you talking through the process, and then have that picked up by Claude Cowork and generate all the documentation that we're going to be doing for the first process. And I think the good thing of that is the processes we're doing, I think, are valuable, but the method of doing it will open up your mind on other things and that you can create automations for. So we're going to do kind of some important basics, but it's going to open up your mind. And once you get into the tool, you're going to say, well, and we'll go over a list of some other things you can do. One simple thing I always like to do with people that aren't familiar with it is set up a weekly competitive analysis. So this is especially like in retail, where let's say you have a restaurant or coffee shop, and there's other coffee shops in the area. You want to know what promotions they're doing, how they're doing certain things, how it compares to others, what kind of reviews they're getting. So just some simple competitive analysis on a schedule is one example, but there are hundreds of things you could do. But like, we want to basically look at what are the biggest payback ones, what's the highest leverage things you can do, and that's one of them, which helps you stay on top of what your competition is doing without you having to do all the manual research of that every week.
So I want to, I love it. Sign me up. Okay. The one thing I want to ask is, what is, why should we listen to you? I mean, I know this skill you have called EOS, and I know if it's an implementer or practitioner, but you know a thing or two, but you haven't shared that. And I think that's going to be valuable if someone in the back of their mind say, hey, what's the value of Krishen versus, YouTube video,
Yeah.
what's, tell me a little bit about your business background and EOS.
Yeah. Well, way before EOS, I mean, my first real business that I started with a couple other partners was a consulting company back when I was, in my mid-20s. And so, and I had the concept of, okay, I'm an owner in the company, so I'm on the top of the company. And what I quickly learned is I'm not on the top. I'm right in the middle. I'm right in the middle of employees and employee issues and customer wants and issues and partner wants and issues. And you realize you're, and I thought that what I wanted to do was build better software than other people. So very little of my time went to building software. Most of it went to running the business. And so I quickly learned there is this whole other thing about a business that's all the things that surround, like the thing you think about the business delivers. There's all the systems and processes and people and things around it, and marketing. So I had a belief early on that, processes were like a way to help scale things. But all the process I did early on just kind of failed. I documented things. I documented down to the T. Getting other people to try to do it was a difficult thing. The level of detail I had was not right. My approach was not good. So I kind of learned through doing things in non-effective ways, and I gradually evolved over a number of businesses and consulting engagements, and later on, like Bez, I got into EOS, and I've implemented that at several companies. So I learned a lot of things from people who have implemented many hundreds of businesses and scaled businesses. So I've learned from my own kind of coming through the ranks, but then also from other people that package things together from doing it across hundreds of businesses. So I have a lot of hands-on experience on what works and what doesn't work from a business process standpoint, and I've been doing things with technology and automation for several decades, and for the past 10 years I've been doing things related to both AI and business processes and operations. And that's all I got.
All right. So,
and
so
I put on the funnest workshop on the internet. And if that's not enough, then forget it.
So, well, hey, hang on tight now. Don't
take down the QR code.
I'm gonna ruffle them a little. I'm gonna give you, since it sounds like you need a little extra love today.
It's been a long week. Yeah, it's only Wednesday.
It's been a long week. No, it sounds all good. Do you have a sample, like something you did that you implemented? And I'm gonna go to you, Logan and Zakia. Like, give us the possibilities of, one thing you implemented, Krishen, that was substantial. Give us, what's the possibilities? Give us just one thing.
Well, the one thing is really the one thing that I would say is one thing I'm promising is get people that are small business owners that they believe in the importance of documented business processes, but they cannot get themselves to sit down and do it for whatever the reason is. It's a cognitive burden to try to do that. So I'm going to play you a little excerpt here on a business owner talking into a recorder. I don't know if he was driving or walking during this, but just see if you can relate to this. I'm going to play a little excerpt from it.
This is just me talking through how we bring on a new client, because honestly, it all lives in my head. And Sarah's been asking me to write it down for like a year. So new client onboarding. So usually it starts when somebody fills out the contact form on our site, or sometimes they just email me directly, or it's a referral and they text me, which those ones are messier because there's no paper trail and I have to remember to log it. Anyway, first thing I do, well, not the first thing, but early on is I send them a link to book an intro call, 15, 20 minutes. I used to do 30, but it was a waste. Oh, wait, I should back up. Before the call, I actually looked them up. Like I check out their website, their business.
So imagine you may be able to relate to that. Anybody can, if they know their business, they can ramble on for a few minutes on how, like, for instance, bringing on a new customer, what that's like. So doing this process, what I was able to do is take then the transcript with the prompt you'll get in the course, in the workshop, and be able to create a process document out of that, and a checklist for that process, and a list of where does human judgment come in. So one of the things if we played the rest of it, one of the things he talked about was he learned by getting burned that he needs to take a retainer on up front for new clients. And this person has a bookkeeping type of business. And so he, that was like a rule. However, if it was like a really great long-term customer that made the referral, then he might waive it. He might not enforce that. So that's like one area where the human judgment comes in. And so anyway, and if you want me to, I can show you a couple of examples of documents, but if you've done any kind of process documentation, you kind of understand here's a description, what happens at the 4 steps in the process, and that sort of thing. But again, the beyond the technology is just using the technology to get stuff out of your head and on the paper is really, like, to me, the selling point of it. There's you can go learn a bunch of techniques just online or other courses, or for free on YouTube, or things like that, or read the documentation online. But you haven't done that. So, come get some stuff out of your head, kind of what does it call it? You can unblock the dam, it just takes one thing, and it starts a whole cascading effect that could, really transform your business and really start utilizing some of the tools as they are today.
Well, I love what you were just explaining. No, we don't need to see the documents, because I want you to save that for your class tomorrow. Okay. But I appreciate the explanation, because I think people needed to hear that. I think that pain point resonates. Now I'm going to go to Logan and Zakia. Because right now, Krishen has shared, hey, what's the possibility and what he's able to do. I'd like to, we're probably got about 10 more minutes, but I know that all of you have been playing with AI. So Logan, I'm going to go to you first, and then Zakia. But I want to say, hey, what is one thing you've done with AI, and what was it, and how did it transform your business? What was the end result? Faster, more efficient, saved you money, from X to Y, and it was groundbreaking, or maybe not. Share something, Logan, that you think is
Yeah.
the possibility.
Yeah, so I've done probably I have 20 to 40 documented SOPs or processes that I currently do. One of the more important ones, and this is probably something that every business owner should do, right, is to have a quarterly roadmap, and AI can be a big, big player in that. Krishen and I talked a little bit earlier about how I structure my system. So with mine, it's just another layer of helping provide a good source of information for those quarterly roadmaps as you go, because basically it's taking everything that happened throughout the quarter and it's using it. But that's really in depth. Starting with just like Christian said, putting things on paper, getting to that point where you're starting to document and actually like know what your core values are, what's your mission statement, and then lay out your goals for the quarter. When that quarter is over, you have the next quarter and you want to review, you want to reflect. And using AI is a really good tool for that. Not only because, it can help you put that onto paper, into the digital realm, but also because AI, has that knowledge of how a Fortune 500 company would run a quarterly roadmap. It knows what it would be looking for. So without even ever stepping foot in one of those boardrooms, you're able to go, oh, so, okay, these are the KPIs that my business should be looking at, because it's already been documented probably somewhere online, deep online. And AI is really good at that. Another thing that we did that really helped us out was SOPs for client onboarding. Especially in my industry, there's lots of things that have to get done. There's disclosures and stuff that need to be delivered to clients ahead of time and all that stuff. And all of that needs a paper trail. So when it comes to creating that process, having AI to be able to help me develop a process like that, I could do it alone, but it would take, it'd take a while. And there's considerations that, as a human, sometimes we miss things, right? So when it comes to like compliance and stuff, in my industry, this process looked like, reading every entire regulation down to, and creating a process that was aligned with that. And so, that's important for us. Every industry is different. And so, and the key really is to have that, to have your system to be complete in a way that it knows exactly who you are, what your business is, what your objectives are. And I heard somebody say one time, and they said, it's important that in every interaction that you have, any kind of work that you're doing with AI, that the AI model knows exactly who you are, exactly to the T, because otherwise you won't get the same results. And that's really what is the most important thing you can do with AI is control the variables. Everything that comes out of it is what you put into it. So unless you have to be very intentional with exactly what you are putting into it, and that's how you get out of it. But that's some of the ways that we've used, and some ways that any business owner can start is SOPs, client onboarding, employee onboarding, stuff like that, creating checklists and looking for opportunities to improve with those.
I love what you just said. So between what you and Krishen were speaking, I kept thinking about a book by probably was written over 30 years ago, by Michael Gerber. I don't know if you're familiar with the E-Myth Revisited. And So you're familiar with it. Zaki, are you familiar with it? Krishen, you familiar? Logan, you familiar with it? Okay.
No.
It was an early book I read in my career about. He was all about, you know, talking about why a business or why someone left their 9 to 5 and went on put their own shingle up. And he talked about usually the reason was to get away from the boss and the ball and chain that they were. But what happened is that the business became a bigger ball and chain because they couldn't leave it, right? They were stuck in it. They were the pastry shop in town that had a line around. God forbid they take a vacation. They couldn't. And what if it was widely successful and someone whispered a number in your ear? Do you think they're going to buy what's in your head or what's on document? And so he actually, when you read the book, the first half is talking about the journey of the entrepreneurs. And if you ever been an entrepreneur, you will see yourself in that journey. You're like, oh, I'm right there. I'm stuck right there, right? It's really a fascinating book. But then and this is even before, like, shoot, man, this is probably around the time when, internet, this guy's, I don't know if he's still alive, but he, halfway through the book, he talks about setting up, he said, there's a better way. And he talks all about systemizing, documenting process, like just a really fascinating book. And he talks about the customer experience and all that, like amazing stories. And he does a great job. And you can see yourself. And if you're a small business owner, you can say, oh, okay, I get it now. Because he was all about two types of people, entrepreneurs. You're either working in the business or you're working on the business. And if you were working in the business, he called you a technician. Okay, that's what you are. If you're working on the business, now that's next level. That is where you really need to be as a business owner, right? Because you don't remember, why did you go and put your own shingle? To get away from the ball and chain. And now your business has become a bigger ball and chain. So what you guys are talking about, Krishen, Logan, it reminded me about Michael Gerber. And if you ever get a chance to read that book or listen to the Audible, it's just an amazing book. And it's printed in multiple languages and multiple editions. They have like the E-Myth Consultant. They just have different iterations, but the E-Myth Revisited is the one that original is all you need to know. The other book, Logan, that I kept thinking about when you were talking about quarters, there's a book called out, The 12-Week Year. Have you heard about it?
I have not.
Oh, then that book's going to resonate with you because you're talking about quarters, mm-hmm. Right? But the concept is, how can I if I have a plan for what I want to accomplish in a year, how can I do it in 12 weeks? It's a really fascinating approach, right? And people say, well, how can I do that? Well, how do they eat an elephant? And anybody know the answer to that?
One bite at a time. You just have to do 12 bites a day, I think. And then
you might have a lot of snacks. So those are really good books. I'm just having these tie-ins. You guys are dropping some gems here, some value bombs. And I'm going to go to Zakia because this thing about this is not a new concept, but now we have a tool that we're using, and Krishen has a workshop for the business owner that needs to document their SOPs for the good of their company and for the future of their company. And for maybe one day someone whispers a sweet nothing in your ear and you like that number. but they're not going to buy what's in your head. If they are, they're going to keep you on board for a couple of years, and you're going to get they're going to get the company at a fraction of the cost it could have been sold at with the multiplier. Going to you, my friend, Zakia, should share us one thing that actually you have a few, because you've developed apps around the problems you were solving. I think you developed 4 apps, but just give us one of what did you use AI for and how did it solve your problem? Zakia, you are on mute. Zakia, Earth to Zakia, are you there? She may not be there right now. Yeah, you're right. She is.
She had to hop off.
She had to hop off. Okay.
Yep.
So, yeah, she does. She did leave a message. So, anyways, I think I know for a fact what you're teaching, Krishen, is really important. So, tell us how they can sign up, any details. I know we got a QR code there, a discount code below. Yeah, give us some things if people are interested. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a QR code there. And Bez, for all your group, we got a discount code BEZ101. You'll get $101 off. So instead of $300, it'll be $199. And it'll be a good time. And Bez, I think you're going to be there if I'm not mistaken. So, you know, people will get additional entertainment and
distraction.
No, I'm going to be a good student. I am not the professor or no. I'm joining your class because, you know, I'm there to support and I'm there to learn.
Yeah.
I'm one of those that I believe in investing in myself, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Not only for me, but for the future. And I think if I have a philosophy. If you're not a continuous learner, then your head will spin. And I'd rather control the spin than be spun. So that's just me. Yeah. No, I'm really excited about that. I got to actually go sign up. So I'll probably do it by tomorrow morning. But I'm excited. I think more people, like various small business owners, I'd like to probably, Krishen, and maybe Krishen and Logan team up and do something for Main Street USA, and just go get a venue. I know a few places, and just bring small businesses on Main Street USA and say, hey, like you talk about competitive analysis, what are promotions? You know, there's a lot that small businesses that they can actually do because, you know, they're experts in their business.
Yeah.
There is a better way. All right. Any final thoughts before we go on? Logan, as we close off, we'll go get your final thoughts. Krishen, you'll have the second final thoughts, and then I'll close out. But Logan, hey, what are your final thoughts as we close out this entertainment we're having tonight?
I would just say that the best time to have learned about AI was a couple of years ago, and the second best time is today. So if anybody is worried, you know, hearing some of us speak and is thinking like, I have no idea what you guys are talking about, you know, that's exactly what Krishen's class is for, you know, to get people acclimated and learning and you've got to do it now. Better late than never, right? You know, at some point, you know, it's still pretty common nowadays to not be incorporating this into your normal workflow, but, you know, give it another 5 years and that won't be the case anymore. I mean, everybody will have, you know, agentic workflows and people will just have to learn how to evolve or you'll just stay behind. So, you know, today is not too late and there's, you know, still plenty of room out there and for people to grow. So.
Yeah. And I'll just put a caution on that. Don't wait 5 years because they're already predicting that by the end of the decade, quantum computer will be using quantum computing. And I just can't imagine quantum computing pairing up with AI, like how crazy that's going to be. And the technology is predicted to being used by the end of the decade. And some may say that there's even, because in that field, most of the breakthroughs have been accomplished, but there's these minor ones they're still working on. And some of those in the last 12, 18 months actually have been broken through. So it could be before the end of the decade, but at least by the end of the decade. So don't wait 5 years. I just see it's looking different. Thanks for that perspective. I really enjoyed it. And what about you, Krishen? What are your final words as we wrap up tonight?
Yeah, my final thoughts are, if you are for against AI, or you're against AI, or you're somewhere in between, it doesn't really matter, because it's coming. It's been coming. It's going to come on even stronger. So it's better to learn what it's capable of now, than bury your head in the sand and just say, I don't want to take part of it, because it's going to be, it's just like the internet, except faster. So if there was a time, if you remember, that people were like, I'm not going to buy something over the internet. I'm not going to put my credit card on the internet. So, if you're around for that, it's the same thing here. It's technology, and it's a wave, and you should see what's in the wave before you make a final decision.
Well, that's some interesting perspective. And to your point, the e-commerce, actually, the innovation that happened was not by normal business. It was actually fringe business. The nefarious, without getting X-rated. Yeah, it was X-rated. Yeah, that was actually where the innovation came from for e-commerce. That's what, and a lot of people don't know that. And if you talk to tech guys, they'll tell you, or tech people, they'll say, hey, that's what helped spur along that. So final words from me. I'll just say that we've had some great people here dropping some value bombs or value gems. I don't know if I can say the BOMB, without getting flagged here, but this is really a great time to be alive. I remember, and I still use the phone. I'm a phone person. I'm a shaking hands, kissing babies type of person, but I use tech to make it more effective, right? If I walk into a room, I may know a lot more about you than you think I do. It's amazing what technology can do and where it can help you. And we have Logan here using it very well in his own business. Someone who tells me they've documented 20 to 40 SOPs. I'm telling, to me, that sounds, you've documented your business, and you're practicing what Michael Gerber is like. You're definitely on the road to where you need to be, right? Then you're actually working on your business, and you may be working in your business, but you know how to work on the business to advance it, right? You never know what the future may hold, but when that future comes, Logan's going to be ready. Logan and his company. Krishen here is going to teach you how to, as a small business owner, how to get ready, like the hands-on stuff. And I think you said it's a 3-hour session from 7 to 10. Am I correct?
You're correct.
So we're going to go to work, aren't we?
We're going to go to work. It's going to be fast-paced, but you're going to be in with great people, and so it's going to be a fun time, and it's going to be,
all right.
All
right. Well, folks, I appreciate you guys coming on here. Zakia had to check out. Trying to keep it short and sweet for an hour. We went a little over an hour today, but the conversation was good. The conversation was meaningful, and so be it. And but you two gentlemen, after I end the stream, once you hang out, we'll just do a quick debrief if you have time. But yeah, thank you everybody who's was on this stream with us. We had a lot of fun, shared a lot of knowledge, and it's never too late to start and become AI enabled, right? And Krishen is going to make sure that you touch it, and if you touch it, here's what's going to happen: you're not going to die, right? And because you didn't die, the next time you touch it, you feel a little bit more confident, right? Because before you touched it, you were scared, but you had the courage to touch it, and now the second time you touch it, you're like, it wasn't that bad, so you feel a little confident. You can't be confident rolling out of bed if you never touched something. If you never did the thing, then it's just a lot of bravado. And I believe in faking it till you make it. So believe me, faking it till you make it is a thing. But I hope if you're faking it till you make it, that you actually go and do the research and go do the thing. So the next time you're not faking it. You're a little bit more confident. And over time, when you put the reps, you'll be pretty confident, and you'll be like Logan and Krishen, who now will teach others about AI. All right. Thank you for joining today's AI Mastery Lab, and we will see you on the flip side. Take care.